Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Friday Charge, brought to you by Geek Studios. As always, I am Sebastian, and he is Joel. And today, July 3rd, 2026, we got a lot to talk about. We're talking about FSD Lite. We're going to talk about the new iX5. We're going to talk about some NACS stuff. We're going to talk about a weird Jeep. And I'm sure there'll be some other topics come up for the night. So without further ado, let's plug in and get started. All right, our first topic of the night, Tesla has made FSD Lite official. Tesla this week began rolling out FSD V14 Lite to select Hardware 3 owners, starting, of course, with their early access drivers. Tesla is claiming that FSD Lite, quote, distills the intelligence from Hardware 4 version 14 into Hardware 3, end quote, and that allows the car to, quote again, directly learn how to handle scenarios using Hardware 4 version 14 as a guide. End quote. Tesla says by doing this, Hardware 3 will gain several improvements previously locked to Hardware 4, such as better navigation, merges, parking, unparking, reversing, etc. This will also bring the new infamous FSD speed profiles to these older vehicles. Why do I say infamous? Because it seems like everyone with Hardware 4 and the FSD has figured out that it just ignores it. Every speed profile goes over the speed limit for no reason other than just to do it. So, yay. I mean, all this to say, kudos to Tesla for figuring out how to provide some sort of update for those with the Hardware 3 cars. You know, as a reminder, Hardware 3 has been around since, 2019? So 7 years old at this point. So the fact that they're still being able to update the autonomy features and all that is, a good thing. But, I mean, I'm sure you've caught on this point that I keep saying FSD Lite, and that's because that's what Tesla called it. Which, if Tesla is coming out and calling it FSD Lite, then that must mean they're admitting that it's not as powerful as what you find on Hardware 4, which makes sense. Hardware 4 has something like, 8 times the memory capacity or something another. But this raises a couple questions for me. So, A, where does the introduction of FSD Lite kind of play into the previous conversation about, Tesla potentially retrofitting Hardware 3 cars? Is that still in the works? Is this just a way to try to appease and get less people to want to do that? Kind of what's the end game here? And then my second question is just, is it fair for Tesla to charge the full FSD price for this if they are coming out and calling it light and therefore saying that it is a less capable system than what you would get paying the same amount of money on Hardware 4?
Yeah, you made a good question. I believe you posted that out on X, and I don't think you got any answers, did
but
you?
it's okay. No.
Yeah.
I can throw away a tweet about the Lucid Air and get 500,000 views on it or whatever, and then I can ask a legitimate question and no one sees it. I don't know.
Crickets. Yeah, you get like 56 views. So yeah. I mean, you bring up a good point because, I just think about, I know this is not the same, but if you think about it, you have the Ioniq 5 app, I have the Kia app. And for different tiers, it unlocks certain features within the app. Like if you pay the top tier, you get OTA updates. You can fully lock your door, remote start. If you get the bottom tier, I really think you can only just lock and unlock your door. And that's really it. So if this is a light tier, you would think it'd be cheaper. It's not going to be, but you would think it would be cheaper. So, and what I also don't understand is, if I sign up for Lite, am I signing a waiver saying my car never has to be updated by Tesla to get Hardware 4? I mean, is there going to be a trade-off?
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's just a way for Tesla to drag out the process of having to replace Hardware 3 with Hardware 4 in these vehicles. I think that's what they're doing. They're just trying to extend it to get all those cars off the road.
Yeah. And again, just to be clear, kudos to them for doing it. Like, kudos to them for finding this update path or whatever. But I have such a hard time trusting the motives behind all of this, because this is the same company that not too long ago went and retroactively modified contracts that people had already signed for FSD to put the word supervised in there. Even though that was not in the contract these people signed, they went and retroactively added it to a contract that had their signature at the bottom without telling the person that they did it. It's like, that's sketchy. Even if it's legal, that's sketchy. And the cynic in me kind of goes back to, I want to say, was it not Elon who said we should expect FSD to get more expensive? is the current price going to become the FSD Lite price, and full-blown FSD just gets more expensive than it is now? Is that
I mean,
what we're
that's what I was
setting up
thinking too.
for?
Yeah, like
Is
Lite will be
FSD
this
Lite
price.
doesn't get cheaper, just FSD gets more expensive?
Totally agree. I think
I
that's
don't
what
know,
you can see. Yep.
which
Yep.
is a bummer because I mean it's already
It,
$100 a month, it's a very impressive system. Like it's the
it
best on the
is.
market currently.
Yep.
But $100 a month extra on a car is a significant amount of money.
It's a lot of money. You are correct. That is a lot of money, and I hate to see FSD then go to 149 a month or something like that. It's gonna be
Right. Right.
expensive.
All right. Well, that's enough FSD talk for tonight.
Yep.
I'm excited. I have a thought in my head. We'll see
Oh,
if we can ever coordinate this and work it out. And if you hear me say this and you think it's interesting, let me know. And if you hear me say this and you are not interested at all, I take that too. I kind of want Colin is probably our best chance at doing this. If he has a hardware 3 car with paid for FSD that gets FSD Lite and happens to also have a hardware 4 car that has FSD on it, I would kind of like to have both of us get in, one. I'll get in the hardware 3 car, you get in the hardware 4 car, us be starting in the same position, parked next to each other, type in the same destination and go and just record just record what happens in each car
yeah.
and then kind of
Drive from
mash
like
that
Little Rock to Hot Springs and see what happens. Something like that. Yep.
and then just
Make it
mash
a
that into
distant enough.
one video and like how the experiences compared or whatever, and we can debrief after or something like that.
That's a good. I'll reach out to him. He called me today about something, but I'll reach out to him and see what he's got. I can probably
Which
look
I
on his
mean,
website to see what he has.
we've got time on that because I mean they're not rolling FSD Lite out widely yet. But it should be interesting though, I would think. All right, now I'm done with the FSD topic. We're going to instead talk about an absolute monster, the BMW iX5. This week, BMW pulled the wraps off its new BMW iX5, which is the fully electric variant of the popular X5 SUV, and this thing is a beast. So the iX5 is the next in the lineup of new class SUVs or EVs from the brand, and the design language is definitely there. You could definitely tell. Most interesting to me, though, is the X headlights on the front, which I know they're going for X because it's the SUV and that's their X line. But to me, it just looks like the logo for the app formerly known as Twitter. I digress. The initial model announced is the 2027 BMW iX5 60 xDrive. I want you to say that 5 times fast. Jesus Lord, BMW, please
When I did my podcast,
names.
it was tough. Yes.
This model will feature the 6th generation of BMW's electric drivetrain and an 800-volt architecture. This model is being powered by a massive 141 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which in the more forgiving European WLTP cycle is good for 525 miles of range. However, BMW states to expect an EPA rating of closer to 435 miles. And in the US is getting a 144 kilowatt-hour battery pack instead of 141. I'm assuming that's one of those just battery sourcing things, slightly different energy density, things like that. But because it's an 800-volt system, the vehicle is capable of charging at up to 460 kilowatts, which would make it like the fastest charging EV in the US outside of, I guess, the Cybertruck that can do 500 for 2 seconds. And that becomes even more apparent. So this has 20 extra kilowatt hours than the Cybertruck. But BMW is claiming that the 141 kilowatt hour pack version of this will be able to do a 10 to 80% charge, which is almost 100 kilowatt hours of energy in 23 minutes.
Dang.
Which, like, don't get me wrong, that's not crazy by Chinese EV standards, but in the US market, that's pretty unheard of.
That's like 0 to 100 in my EV9.
Yep. In 28 minutes.
In 28 minutes. Yep.
No, 23 minutes. Sorry, 23 minutes. That's putting in an extra 30 kilowatt hours than what your EV6 has, just total.
Yep.
In the same time it takes your EV6 to go from 10 to 80. A little longer. A couple, like 5 minutes longer, maybe. Anyway, this introductory variant is all-wheel drive, hence the xDrive in the name, and has 578 horsepower. On the inside, more of BMW's new class elements can be seen. The cockpit is very similar to what you find on the iX3 and the upcoming i3. And you can just tell that they're very The inspiration is there,
There
obviously.
you go.
It's just bigger.
Yep.
The iX5 will be the brand's first EV to be produced here in the United States, with production happening at the company's Spartanburg, South Carolina plant, which I didn't realize until today is BMW's largest factory in the world.
Yeah. So what was BMW's little like sports little like it looked like a Miata? What was that little car called? Do you remember? I want to say I
The
want to people call it yeah.
Z4?
I think that's what that plant was because I believe that's what that plant was originally made to build.
Interesting. I know now they build all the X cars.
Yes.
All the
But
SUVs
this
for
was
the
like
US market.
25
a lot of other
years
places.
ago too. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, but this will be the first EV produced at that facility, which is cool. Now, of course, the one thing that's not set in stone yet will be pricing in the US at least. But considering the iX3 starts at $61.5 in the US, I'm expecting the iX5 to be $75 at a minimum.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if it touches 80 at starting.
So I got some news on
see.
that for you when you're ready. So
Okay, what's up?
So you didn't watch my episode. So $81K is the starting price.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
I don't know how I missed that when I was writing this earlier.
Starting at 81. Now, of course, it's a BMW, so you can option up to probably like $100,000 if you wanted to. So I'm sure we'll have a play the configurator game episode later on when you can configure it. So, but yeah, but also I don't know if you mentioned this or not, the batteries are also being produced in the US.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
yeah.
I assume that's why it was 144 kilowatt hours in the US, but 141 overseas.
In South Carolina. So don't have to worry about all those fun little tariff stuff, hopefully.
Those fun little tariffs.
Yep.
I was trying to see. I do not see the price listed on their website. That's weird. I wonder how I missed that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Cool. 81. Yep. But yeah, this, looks pretty sweet. The iX3, I've already kind of felt like is a pretty solid option. And this, if you have a little bit extra money, just takes that and cranks it up to 11 or 12, I guess, because I kind of feel like the iX3 was already to 11. So yeah.
Let me share something with you. So question, but let me share this again here. What do you think about, are you happy with what they've done to the front of the car with the grille now instead it has or is there too much going on for you?
It's pretty busy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love the X's.
Yeah, I'm not feeling those either.
I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll have to see one in person and see how it feels in. The iX has weirdly grown on me over time, even though it's a bucktooth beaver. Like no way getting around that. But it has weirdly grown on me over time. So who knows? This might do the same thing. But of course, it might grow on me like a tumor. I don't know.
Yep. Looking at this image, it looks like it has two front cameras in the bottom here.
Hold on, let me.
Or those are sensors, maybe. I don't know. So,
but those are just parking sensors.
Okay,
they're in line with the ones on the corner of the bumper as well.
Yeah, they look like it.
So those are just parking sensors.
Yep. Yeah. But I talked about this on. If you want a deep dive on this, we did an episode on Wednesday doing a deep dive about this. But yeah, this is a beast, and we've had a couple other content creators kind of have a little walk around tour of it. But yeah, this is going to be a beast. And 81, I'm honestly thinking 81,000 is not that bad. So for this,
for the market that it's competing in, it seems pretty solid. Because it's like you could do this or a Lyric, which is cheaper starting out, or a Vistic, which technically has a third row but is not very big.
Yep.
It just in the space that it's kind of filling, it doesn't seem bad if it's at 81. But of course, it's a BMW, so how quickly does it become 100?
That's what I'm saying. You start optioning things in there. You're like, oh, I want this, I want that. Now you're up to $98,000. So
right, and
that's what bothers me.
That changes the math all sorts of ways.
Oh yeah, you gotta love the Germans. They'll nickel and dime you.
All right. Speaking of nickel and diming, kind of in a roundabout way, Electrify America has begun their NACS rollout. EA this week announced their plans to expand their NACS pilot in preparation to adopt the standard network-wide. The pilot will be expanded to include 14 new stations, 9 in California, 3 in New Jersey, and 2 in Pennsylvania. EA will be switching an unknown number of chargers at each of these sites to feature NACS cables, except for 4 of these locations. 4 of these locations are going to be converted to NACS only.
Ooh.
So I think this is interesting. Of course, this is a pilot, so the whole point of pilots is to figure out utilization and kind of test the waters and everything. But I think it's interesting to kind of go out just and immediately convert 4 sites to NACS only at this point. And of course, EA will be the only ones who really know the answer, but I'll be curious to see how these existing sites, how their utilization changes with this. And I'm just also curious to see what does EA end up doing. We have Walmart, who's kind of seemingly going 50-50 CCS to NACS connectors. You have Iona, who's still doing kind of a more 60-40 split. EA is testing out potentially just doing 100% NACS. Like, what does this look like moving forward? And how long are we realistically going to be in adapter hell?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. And it looks like these fully NACS sites, I got a list up here. They're all going to be in California, which makes sense. That's the biggest population here in the US. But yeah, I'd be curious how long we have to live in adapter hell, because you're going to have a lot of people who charge at EA at going to these stations, and now they're all fully NACS, and now they need a adapter.
The CCS to NACS adapter, and then
the CCS to NACS. Yep.
And then you've got your NACS vehicles who to charge there as we move forward, and more vehicles are switching to NACS, are going to need the CCS to NACS adapter to charge at the CCS sites. And then just how long do we stick around in this? And 2, is this, I still can't help but feel like this is a little bit confusing to some consumers, because you have Teslas built before, 2019 or 2020? No, 2020, I think, that didn't come from the factory of support for third-party chargers. And so there's going to be more and more chargers in the wild that have a plug that physically fits into their car, but they can't use because the car doesn't support it.
Yeah, and you also have those cases to where, like, I think it was late 2020, early 21. I forgot what my first Model 3 was not CCS compatible. So
yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah. So even if I wanted to and you were seeing a lot of that talk, like, wait a minute, my car can't do this, I can't charge there. Tesla has fixed that, with my 2022. But I think there may have been still 21s or 22s out there, Model 3s.
I couldn't remember if it was 2020 or 2021 when they really made the
Mine
switch.
was not. My Model 3 was not. I think my Model 3 was a 20. Was it a 20? God, Lord, that was a long time ago. But yeah, yeah, it was not compatible. When I got to my 22 Model Y, it was compatible. So interesting.
Yeah,
so it's
and that's kind of one of the things, to talk about, like, just as a reminder for people. The NACS implementations you're seeing on these third-party chargers is just CCS and a smaller handle. Like SAE J3400, the technical name for the connector, has some changes over CCS, like other than form factor. But the way it talks, the way it communicates and all that to the cars is just CCS. That's why, and that's the same reason why non-Teslas can't use version 2 superchargers. Version 2 superchargers don't talk CCS. They talk DIN, I can't remember the number anyway, but it's a Tesla proprietary DIN standard, essentially.
Yep.
And that's how they communicate to the car. And non-CCS or CCS vehicles don't speak that language, and that's why you can't use a V2 supercharger even with an adapter, or a V1 supercharger, or an urban supercharger, or whatever. You have to use V3 or newer, because those are the stations actually able to communicate CCS. And even Teslas now on V3 superchargers and V4 superchargers communicate CCS. They don't even, for a long time, even on V3, they were still using the proprietary Tesla language. But at some point, Tesla, through software updates, changed it to where even Teslas communicate using CCS protocol on these superchargers. And so, anyway, a whole web of mess that ultimately is good. We get a smaller connector that's more ergonomic and, like, opened up a big network to EV drivers and all this stuff. But how long are we going to be stuck in this in-between state of compatibility issues and adapters and cars switching and not switching? And half the cars in a brand's lineup using NACS and half of them using CCS. Because I imagine if you're a car dealership who's gone through the effort of installing, infrastructure for service or whatever, this must be incredibly infuriating. I just spent all this money.
That reminds me, I got to go down. I got to stop. The Hyundai dealership here in North Little Rock is doing a makeover. They just put out 2 new charge port units. So I'm curious what those will be. I think they're going to be the dual handles, kind of like what JT has at his. Is what it looks like. All I can see is that their side view, and they got them torn down, I guess, to wire them. So, but you're right. Is having now, or the dealerships are going to have to upgrade all their infrastructure, or they're going to be living in adapter hell too. So,
yeah, it's like I imagine as a service department, this is just like another level of frustration that ultimately might honestly hurt us a little bit, because if you inconvenience the dealership, they just won't sell them.
Yep.
Because they have the option not to.
They do. They don't have to buy them.
Anyway, okay, we'll move on.
Yep.
Before I get on the soapbox, we'll just move on.
Yes.
The Jeep Recon.
Sebastian, back down.
The Jeep Recon has launched in the U.S. Jeep officially opened the order books for its new Recon EV in the U.S., and it's expensive. At launch, there's only one trim level available, the Moab, which does not stand for mother of all bombs in this situation. Anyway, and the Moab trim level starts at $66,995. And that $67,000 gets you a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack. Nice. Big battery.
Yep.
And also 222 miles of range. What?
Because, the basically looking at here, it looks like an R2.
It's literally, I'm no mathematician, but should be literally 2.2 miles per kilowatt hour.
Yep.
Which is insane. That's Silverado EV efficiency. That's Escalade efficiency.
See, yes. I don't know where they're losing the efficiency. Looking at the picture, it doesn't look that bad aerodynamically.
I was like, it looks like a brick, but also so does the Rivian, so does the R2, so does anyway.
True.
No, just to kind of get back on topic, the Recon is supposed to channel a little bit of that Wrangler energy, right? It has features such as removable doors. It has 33-inch all-terrain tires, 9 inches of ground clearance. Jeep is claiming that this is the only EV on sale of today that is, quote, trail rated, end quote, which I feel like it's important for me to tell you the term trail rated is a registered trademark of the Jeep company. So no dip, it's the only EV that's trail rated. Anyway, and the only vehicles to date that have ever received the trail rated badge are Jeeps, obviously. Anyway. I just, in their marketing, it was like, this is the only EV who's trail rated. I was like, well, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
How do you own the trademark on that? But I digress. The new Recon is being built on the STLA large platform, featuring dual motor all-wheel drive, 650 horsepower, 620 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 time of 3.6 seconds. The vehicle features or things you would expect on a Jeep. It has multiple drive modes with multiple that are tailored to off-road driving. It has a 12.3-inch driver's display, a 14.5-inch infotainment screen, and a fairly decent-looking interior. It looks like a modern Jeep. Like, it fits the bill pretty well. The final stat to mention is Jeep claims the vehicle can charge from 5 to 80% in 28 minutes. 5 to 80 is a weird time, but I'll let it slide because 28 minutes is honestly not that bad in the U.S. market. That's pretty on par with like every other SUV or electric SUV that's for sale that's not a BMW iX or a Hyundai iX5 or an EV6. So like, sure, I'll take it.
Yeah. Because if you think 10 to 80, then would probably be 25 minutes is what? So,
right.
If 5 to 80 is 28, I'm guessing 10 to 80 would be 25. So who knows?
Yeah, which like is legitimately not that bad in the current scheme of things, especially a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack. So you're putting 70 kilowatt hours of energy in that time. So like, cool. So like, obviously, as we've talked, this thing kind of falls flat on its face when you look at the specs. But I mean, it has some merit, right? If you look at it as an electric Wrangler, it should be fairly good at that. It should be fairly capable of off-road driving, assuming the drivetrain and tuning is good. And if that's what you're buying it for, then you'll be well served. Like,
Yep.
But we also know this because we live in an area that is crawling with them. The majority of Jeep Wranglers never leave a parking lot.
Yeah.
Like, they take your kids to soccer practice. They go to Walmart. They terrorize the curb.
Yep. They have broken windshields.
And I don't expect the Recon's going to change this. Like, I don't expect.
You don't see someone out going buying a Recon saying, I can go off road now.
Yeah. And it's like, and at $67,000, it's just too expensive. A fully loaded R2, which while isn't trail rated, it should have similar levels of off-road capability.
Yeah.
And 100 miles of more range.
Yep. You could also get a really nice
$7,000 cheaper.
You could also get a really nice gas powered Wrangler for $67,000. So
you could get a really nice gas Wrangler. Like, I don't see them converting a lot of buyers to EVs with this. They'll sell some.
Yep.
And that's good. But it just doesn't feel like this is their best foot forward, especially because Stellantis previously was saying they're trying to bring more affordable EVs to the U.S. market and things like that. And then they do this.
This was supposed to be their reset, wasn't it? This was their reset. You know, they
I don't know, man.
got rid of the Wagoneer for a year. This is their reset. So who knows? Weird reset.
I don't know what they're doing except for combating wokeness or something. I don't know.
Yep. Who knows?
Who knows? All right. And our final scripted topic of the night. The Cybertruck has a new expensive issue. There's been an increasing trend of Cybertruck owners losing their ability to AC charge their trucks. Womp, womp.
Womp.
Looking over at the Tesla Cybertruck owners forums and various other social media platforms, many owners have begun reporting PCS failures, which is where the vehicle will no longer AC charge and will occasionally lock itself into a limp mode. Looking at the Cybertruck forum, which is admittedly a very small subset of trucks sold, there was a poll posted which had around 223 responses on it. And in those responses, 108 were indicating that their PCS has failed or they believe it is failing soon. And the believe it's failing
Sebastian.
soon. Yeah. Believe it's failing soon was about 15 of those. And you might be wondering, well, how do you believe this part is failing? Well, it's because people that have gone through this can have reported what happens. And so the symptoms are pretty verifiable. Basically, the truck in the days leading up to failure will stop charging at 48 amps. It'll start charging at 24 amps, for example.
Yep.
And then eventually just stop charging.
Yep.
Now, this is kind of what I wanted to talk about, really, why I brought this up. And I feel like at this point it should be a recall. As much as I know Tesla hates recalls. And unfortunately for Tesla, this is not the recall that they can call a software update. I think this would have to just be a recall. Anyway, 2024 and 2025 Cybertrucks were offered with a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic warranty. If this part fails while you're in that 4 years and 50,000 miles, replacement's obviously free, right? Your truck is broken. It's under warranty. Warranty fixes it. But for those who aren't under warranty, which I found very interesting, Tesla's apparently not covering this as part of the high voltage battery warranty, even though this is to charge the battery.
Yeah.
Anyway, owners have reported quotes ranging from $5,000 to $7,200 to fix this. Apparently, the labor involved is insane. It's because it's like nestled under the truck bed, so it requires removing part of the bed and the air suspension and various other components. And if you have a Cybertruck that has the exterior armor, like the under armor, it apparently adds like 8 more hours to the labor. But so they initially were quoting $5,000 to $7,200 on these jobs. Then Tesla started quoting $1,000 for the job and called it goodwill. And that alone should tell you all you need to know.
Yep.
if Tesla is going to start goodwilling these jobs at $1,000 when they were previously charging almost, up to $7,200 for them, they must know that this is something out of the normal, like, or this is common or a frequent failure. This is similar to, we were talking about getting I think you and I were recently having a conversation about front control arms on Model 3s and how on a normal car that's a fairly expensive fix, but on I think I had a coworker who got a quote to do that at Tesla in North Little Rock, and they were going to do both of the front ones for $500.
Yep, that sounds about right.
And for both of them, like that was labor, parts, everything included. And that's one of those, again, it's a fairly common failure point on the cars. Tesla is probably artificially making the price cheaper just to, keep people happy.
If you own a Tesla probably 2023 or older, then you probably had issues with your control arms. Most likely.
But yeah, if you're willing to cut the cost that much and it's as widespread of an issue or becoming as wide of a spread of an issue as it really kind of seems like, because again, I know that one poll was only 200 users. Like that's obviously they've sold way more Cybertrucks than that, but I see this on like X and stuff all the time. And it's become kind of a running joke on the platform anyway. But I just feel like at that point, it's not the customer's fault. You need to take ownership of it. You need to issue a recall. And I know, earlier I mentioned 2024, 2025 Cybertruck specifically because the 2026 model year has a revised warranty.
Oh.
Now, some of this is because of law changes or whatever. And this particular piece of the revised warranty is specifically applies to CARB states. So states that follow the California Air Resource Board guidelines, whatever, which it's an EV. So anyway, I digress. But in these CARB states, there's a new high price propulsion parts warranty that is 7 years and 70,000 miles. And that warranty specifically lists the PCS as a covered component. And honestly, to me, this just whole situation makes me think of the ICCU.
Yep.
Who, after nearly 4 years, finally implemented an actual honest-to-God warranty extension on the piece, increasing its coverage to 15 years and 180,000 miles. And the ICCU similarities to me just don't stop here. People that have had this PCS failure happen to them are reporting that Tesla currently claims PCS parts are on back order. Of course. Which, again, should tell you that it is becoming a fairly widespread issue. And some owners have been told lead times of 14 days to get the parts. And some have been waiting even longer. There's a guy I've seen on X post about it a couple times. I couldn't find him when I went to look it up, of course. But the last I saw, he'd been waiting 8 weeks for the part. And while the truck is still drivable, usually, being stuck only able to DC charge sucks.
Yeah.
Especially if you live in an area that is not well served by Tesla superchargers or third-party DC fast charging or etc. It just sucks. There's no way around it. It's the most convenient thing about owning an EV is being able to plug it in when you get home and not think about it, and you wake up and it's full. Like that's the best part, and you take that away and it crumbles a little bit. And two, you're talking about owners who bought these Cybertrucks who probably spent almost $100,000 on them. Like, is this how you treat a customer who spent almost $100,000 on a vehicle?
Yep.
What are we doing? What's going on?
What are we doing? What's going on here? I mean, I had the opposite issue. I was unable to DC fast charge, but could still AC charge.
Mm-hmm.
So, but literally, it was I think maybe it was a week and a half. It took them to get the part in, and it was just a 1-day fix. But yeah, you would just think they would just cover it or give you an extended warranty on this. Say, hey, listen, we're going to give you, 6 years, 100,000 mile warranty on the PCS. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're willing to goodwill it down to $1,000, just goodwill it the rest of the way, man.
Yeah.
It's a premature failure caused by a manufacturer defect. Like, I don't see how it's not a manufacturer defect at this point. And so I don't know. But yeah, so if you have a Cybertruck or interested in a Cybertruck, etc., just be on the lookout for this. keep it in mind when you're looking at used ones or whatever else. That if they're over 50 grand and this happens to you, you might be out $1,000 or more.
Yep. All depends how the wind is swinging that way for Tesla. So,
And your service center and whether or not you have a good one or a bad one. If you're in Memphis, I'm sorry.
yes. If you're in Little Rock, it's good. Memphis, we apologize.
All right. Well, like I said, that's the end of our scripted topics. Joel, we already talked about your road trip to South Carolina, but you're a crazy person and drove back in one day on the way back. And you had some interesting stuff happen on the way. So let's talk about that.
15 hours on the way back. Exactly. 15 and a half hours on the way back. I really, now that I think about it, I really wish I would have recorded it because it didn't happen. But on the way back, I stopped at a wide variety of chargers. It just happened that way. So I stopped at regular Tesla superchargers. I stopped at V4 Tesla superchargers. I used EA. I used EVgo. I got to experience multiple networks. I used Iona too. So it was interesting. The worst issue I had was at a V4 station on the way back. The worst issue I had on the way was a V4 issue. We'll have a video come out on my trip there, so you'll see that more in depth. So new V4 station in Georgia.
And it's an actual V4, just for those listening.
Yes.
It's like an actual V4 station.
V4.
500 kilowatts.
It showed 500 kilowatts on my little screen when I saw that, which makes me know it was V4. And at the one station, I got full 204 kilowatts on my EV9, which is a interval architecture. If it wasn't a V4, I wouldn't have got that. So it is a V4. Don't say, oh, there's all these V4. No, this was a true V4. So I got there. Looks like it was the construction had just fairly finished. Some of the stalls weren't labeled. So I had to go figure out in the app. So I was parked in one that was labeled. So I had to go A, B, C, D, E, F, H. So I plugged in H, 2H. Plugged in, charging unsuccessful. All right. Pulled it out, plugged in again. If you know an EGMP car, let you know, charging unsuccessful. Great.
She speaks.
Pulled it out. Yes, she speaks. Moved down, 5 or 6 stalls, plugged in, looked at the app. We're going. Walked across the street, got us some Jersey Mike's, sitting there eating, and we were about 10 minutes. So I think we pulled in right around 20%, 19%. We were sitting there for about 10, 15 minutes. I look at my phone and it says 33% or 34% or 35%. I'm like, huh? And then I looked and it said 52 minutes to 80%. I'm like, what is going on here? So then I open up another app. Then I open up the Tesla app and look at it. I'm only pulling 41 kilowatts. That's it. So I'm like, maybe it's the charger. So I walk back and there's 2 other people charging. I said, hey, real nice. Can I ask you a question? He's like, yeah. He's I'm trying to figure something out. I'm trying to figure out why this car's not charging faster. I was like, yeah, I'm only pulling 440 kilowatts. He's like, yeah, that's for me too. I don't know what's going on. Another car says, are you guys having an issue charging? And in all these V4 sites, there was a series of chargers that were listed as down, which is odd for Tesla. I mean, at the one I stopped at outside of Columbia, it was only 8 stations, 8 stalls, and 3 of those were down. One of them, I couldn't get to work on my car. It wasn't listed as down, but then Tesla pulled in and got to work. This station, it had 3 or 4 down. It wasn't any of the ones I was using. So that was weird. So we just plugged, there was a V3 down the road about 20 miles. So we just unplugged, went down there. I had a choice of either going to a BP Pulse or the Tesla. I just went to the Tesla. It was on this side of the road where I was at. So I went to that one. So that was the only issue. Stopped at so when I got the Buc-ee's, I just charged at EA. One, it's cheaper. It's only 39
Which
cents.
was weird.
For 39 cents. I guess it's the Buc-ee's price or something. It's always, yeah. So charge there. No issues. The only issue I had sometimes with charging using the adapter is how the adapter was in there. So I think at one EA station, it said charging successful. The way the adapter swings, there wasn't good contact. I just pulled it out and put everything back in and it was fine. Max speeds, no problem. Stopped at Iona. Of course, didn't have to use any adapters there. And then stopped at, because my pocketbook was not already hurting enough from going on vacation. I thought, hey, let's stop at an EVgo and let's put $40 worth of energy in my car. So I stopped at that one just because it was my last stop. And it was if I can charge here at it was right outside, I forget Olive Branch, I don't have to charge anymore. This is it. I'm done. So he plugged in there. It was at a truck stop or something like there, and plugged in, and it was fine. So yeah, so I will tell you this though, and this is what I'm happy to see. I can tell the charging network is expanding. Like
Mhm.
it's night and day. How many Pilot Flying J's I saw that had EV charging through Alabama, Atlanta, Mississippi was astounding. Like I
Yeah.
had options. It wasn't like, man, I hope this charger works because I don't have any other options. No, man. I mean, around Atlanta, I could have charged at EA. I could have charged at Ion. I actually did charge at Ion in Atlanta. Tesla, I had options. And when I looked at the app, I had options. If I didn't want to use Tesla, I didn't have to. So that is what I'm happy to report, is doing this trip from the coast of South Carolina through South Carolina, through Georgia, through Alabama, through Mississippi, through a tiny bit of Tennessee into Arkansas. The charging infrastructure is more reliable, and there's a lot more out there. And that's a good thing to report. So it's nice having your options of where you can charge at now, instead of just saying, God, I hope this charger works because it's the only one within a 50-mile radius. Because I think within 45 miles of each other, I think it was Alabama, there were 2 EV Go stations at the Pilot Flying J within 50 miles of each other. I'm like, all right, this is decent. All right, this is good. So that is one thing I was happy to report. The car was solid. Like honestly, 2.5, 2.6 miles per kilowatt hour. It did fantastic. No issues. HDA was fine. You know, it did get a little windy through Alabama on the way back, so it had a little ping ponging going on because it was just really windy outside.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it was a flaw. Honestly, there was nothing, just that 10 or 15-minute delay at that one V4 coming back. No delays whatsoever, just smooth sailing. And that's how it should be. Yep.
And how was the comfort in the EV9 versus doing this in the Model Y?
Or EV6. So yes, a lot more room, you know, spaced out, you know. My wife could sit in the back and relax, had her own little captain's chair. My son, my youngest, he was my navigator. He's sat up front with me. It was nice having a lot more room, and not, my parents had some stuff that were given, you know, from my childhood. They told me to take home with me. So we had room to bring that back. I wasn't, you know, tight for space. I will say this though, South Charleston area, we need to work on level 2 charging. It's just, I would say there's probably more level 2 charging in the Little Rock area than there is in my area where I live in South Carolina. Like literally in my city, there's probably, where I'm from, there's probably 2 or 3. And one of them's at a community center that's always iced. Like it's like the first 2 spots at the community center splash pad. You're not getting in there. And the other one's at City Hall.
Right.
So that's the extent of level 2 charging in my city. So went over to my buddy's house for dinner one night, and, you know, we plugged in over there, had no problems. And I think I charged maybe once or twice while I was there. Once the mall does have bukus of level 2 chargers. So we went to the mall shop. I was able to charge there, you know, no issues there. So, you know, except for the issues on the way there, which you'll see in the video coming out. I believe it's coming out Monday. I think Sebastian's going to work on that before he heads out for vacation. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty flawless trip, and all the EV stations, almost all of them. You would think the one I wouldn't have issues with is the one I had issues with. So all were
I know it was
flawlessly.
the brand new V4 was the one that was a problem.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Well, cool. I'm glad to hear everything went well. I agree. You should have recorded it for multiple reasons. You wouldn't have to worry about that small loan for EV Go if you'd recorded it.
Yeah. Well, I realized when I was looking at the app on the way back, I had selected my preferred chargers. I used a Better Route Planner, which worked awesome. Like if it said I was going to rise somewhere at 15%, I had an ODB dongle. If it said someone was going to rise somewhere at 15%, by gone, it was 15%, or it was 16%, or it was 14%.
Right.
I didn't have to worry about with Tesla and my 2022 Model Y. It said, "Oh, you get there 16%," and I'd arrive at 8. I'm like, how the hell did this happen? You know?
Or it'd say you're going to get there at 4 and you get there at 20, and you're like,
yeah, it's just, I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand. But yeah, but the ODB Better Route Planner worked awesome. But before I left South Carolina, I went there and added some more preferred networks. Tesla was the only one in there. So I added Electrify America. I added Iona. It's not EVgo. You have to add Pilot Flying J. So I added Pilot Flying J. So I had a lot more options open up to me on the way back, which was nice.
Gotcha.
So, yep.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, yeah, so y'all will see that come out Monday. This past Monday, we released our review of a Lucid Air Touring. Bit of an updated look at it. This was a 2025, so it's fairly representative of what a new Lucid Air is. And came away with, fairly impressed, but with some, I feel like, very valid complaints and qualms.
Mhm.
You'll have to check out the video to see more about that. Wednesday, you did a whole deep dive on the iX5, so we kind of gave you a little quick and dirty here because it's newsworthy. But if you want more info on it, check out Joel's video, who gets more into it. Um, and then Friday is this video, obviously.
Think that's a wrap.
All right, I think that's a wrap too. Thank you all for plugging into the Friday Charge. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you follow us, leave us a quick rating, like it, whatever the platform uses. I can't keep up, but whatever you do, it helps the show grow. So long, everyone, and we will see you on the next episode of the Friday Charge.